once had a talk with a partner and managing director at the Boston Consulting Group, and we were talking about joint innovation projects, specifically joint new product development projects between buyers and suppliers. And specifically, we were talking about unexpected events that typically occur during such joint projects. And at some point, the manager said, well, for me, the most surprising or unexpected thing is actually when things go right, or when things go even better than we initially expected. And that was the starting point for our research. So when we digged a little bit deeper into the extant supply chain management literature, we found that much of what has been already done was only focusing on those events that were negative in their nature. And that's how we were thinking, and found that, well, overfulfillment of psychological contract is something worth to investigate. First, we move away from examining psychological contract breaches by considering overfulfillment of such psychological contracts. Second, we provide a substantial contribution to the extant attribution theory literature by examining not only buyer only, which is internal, and buyer external, which is typically the external distinction, as the typical loci of causality, but we also account for the relational dynamics that typically occur in such buyer-supplier exchanges. As such, we investigate buyer-only, dyad, and buyer-network attributions, which is also considering for direct relational and indirect relational exchanges between supply chain members. Third, we go one step further by providing a multi-stage experimental design and do not only investigate the immediate consequences of such favorable developments, but we also investigate the role of reward claiming by the buying organization in order to consider options by the buyer to leverage such favorable developments. As already mentioned before, we used a multi-stage experimental design. Specifically, we used the multi-stage scenario-based experiments with more than 400 sales managers. Participants were put in the role of a sales manager who was jointly developing a new electric motor together with a buying organization. After receiving some basic information, including a basic product description, they were exposed to the unexpected positive event. This unexpected positive event was an unexpected process improvement suggestion, and they also received some information about this event's locus of causality, being either buyer internal, dyad, or buyer network related. Next, they were asked to indicate their trust perceptions toward the buyer, as well as their network appreciation. Next, they received information about the buying organization's attempt to leverage the situation, being either a social or economic reward claim. At the end, they were asked a second time to indicate their trust perceptions toward the buyer, as well as their network appreciation. First, we found that dyad attributions typically lead to higher relational outcomes than buyer-only attributions. And, more interesting still, we found that there were no significant differences between buyer network attributions and buyer-only attributions in affecting relational outcomes. Second, regarding the interaction effect between locus of causality attributions and the buying organization's claiming attempt, we did not find a significant interaction effect. That means that once the buyer claims, the impact of attributions largely diminishes. First, we contribute to the psychological contract literature by examining overfulfillment of psychological contracts. Second, we contribute to the use of attribution theory in a supply chain related context. Specifically, by investigating both dyad and buyer network attributions, we show that a more nuanced understanding of the relational dynamics is necessary when seeking to account for relational dynamics between supply chain partners. Third, we contribute to the use of relational governance mechanism in buyer-supplier exchanges by examining the role of subsequent reward claiming by the buying organization.